Have you ever slept through your alarm clock, missing a very important event? What made you so tired? What did it take to wake you up? The Bible tells us that we, as human beings, are prone to more than one kind of sleep. While we regularly engage in physical sleep, we have the potential to fall asleep spiritually, causing us to overlook the invitation of God, where He allows us to participate in His work in redeeming the lost. But the Lord threw a great wind into the sea, and such a great storm arose on the sea that the ship threatened to break apart. Notice this is some divine intervention. Jonah is putting his whole trust in this ship and this crew in order to get him away from the presence of God. It's as if God is saying, since you trust that ship so much, here's a storm and you're going to watch it all fall apart. Because of Jonah's resistance, God is left with no other option but to throw a storm out to him to grab Jonah's attention. What in your life have you placed so much confidence in that God has to anoint something else in order to break it apart? Is there a relationship that you're holding on to in an unhealthy way? Is it money that you rely so heavily on that you are numb to the presence of God? Is it friendships that have become so important to you that they have drawn you away from God? Whatever it may be, I pray that God doesn't have to send a storm in order to get rid of our stubbornness. But if He must, He will do it to get us back on track. Now don't be mistaken. This isn't God trying to rid Himself of Jonah. This is God showing that He had a commitment to Jonah. This is God going after that one sheep that went astray. This is God's love. I want you to notice something specific. Be very, very afraid when God is no longer after you. If God leaves you to your own devices, to your sin, your mess, be afraid. But if you're in a mess and you look all around you and you can see the evidence of God's grace surrounding you, even if it seems frustrating or harsh, that's the greatness of a merciful God. The sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his God. They threw the ship's cargo into the sea to lighten the load. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone down to the lowest part of the vessel and had stretched out and fallen into a deep sleep. The captain approached and said, "What are you doing sound asleep? Get up! Call on your God. Maybe this God will consider us and we will not perish." Did you catch that? Jonah is sound asleep. Now this isn't just physical sleep. Jonah is also spiritually asleep. He is so sound asleep that an unbeliever has to come to him and say, "Wake up! Get up! What are you doing asleep?" I believe that we can say that God was speaking directly through this captain, trying to grasp Jonah's attention. Wake him up. This is a calling to Jonah for him to get up. It's similar to what Paul says to the church in Ephesus. "Get up, sleeper, and arise up from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." This is a calling that we, the church, need to properly represent our God. So it's time to rise up. It's time to wake up and walk in our biblical position of being salt and light. It's time to walk in biblical obedience. Now, we don't walk in obedience to establish a relationship with God. We walk in obedience as a response to the relationship that God has made with us. You may be on a downward spiral like Jonah, but God's hand is out to you. Whatever divine interruption, that storm being thrown at you, don't get mad at God. Because the divine interruption that God has in your life, whether it be a storm or some other situation, it's God trying to grasp your attention. He says, "Look, in the midst of all this turmoil, my hand is out to you. All you have to do is just grab it. You can still walk with me. You can stop running now.